Good evening, I'm Alan Clive, and this is Sub Radio News.
1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Excellent!
It's been a long while since the crew of the Bryony last embarked on their marathon mission several weeks ago, and the crew have been resting while Chatsu Burned took enforced sick leave in order to clear his headspace after receiving the news that the focus of his infatuation, Isabel And, has been having a clandestine relationship with the award-winning reporter Alan Clive. The crew of the HMS Bryony sensibly began the day by ransacking the last friendly outpost they came across, before agreeing to avoid any dangerous abyss creatures at all costs by taking a meandering route and going left on the map for the first time in about 6 months, where they were instantly greeted by a Moloch among green spore. Good thing Curly Pubis was on hand to apply her native cleaning skills and use the homemade cleaning products that have been handed down through her family for countless generations. It didn't take long for the crew's newest NPC mechanic bot to malfunction and shut down forever. This is perhaps the speediest degradation of any android that the crew have ever purchased. So quick, in fact, the control didn't even get round to allocating the bot its own ID card. After Dr. Hull Guts handed out the crew their rations, which consist entirely of morphine, the crew cleared an abandoned outpost from a disgusting mother crawler trying to protect her unhatched eggs. The crew bravely slayed the single mother and destroyed her defensive offspring with a liberal application of incendiary grenades. The crew evidently had a taste for indigenous blood at this point, as they made a beeline for another abandoned outpost, with a brief detour to activate a beacon, only just so that the rest of the European colonies can hear the tear-jerking songs of ancient Earth as sung by Fanny Rag. New recruit Captain Strawcab emerged from the lavatories of the Phoenix Linnea outpost smelling worse than a half-digested century egg, but instantly took the reins of the ship without Captain Barry's knowledge, and instantly added some spice to the crew's dynamic by taking on the role of a captain who's actually willing to take on a captain's duties. With the rest of the updates on the drama that unfolded, here's Alan Clive, live. This is Alan Clive here. I have to be quiet here in my hidey hole above Chatsu Burn's radio station, as he's on the prowl and he's out to get me. I have to be careful not to be heard or seen, or else my cover is blown. The Bryony was trapped and its tummy tentatively tickled by the tentacled tendrils of a thalamus brain as the crew attempted to reach the next abandoned outpost. Thankfully, Harmonizing Harry and Brave Barry took out 4 crawlers all by themselves, and bravely proceeded to dislodge the trapped Bryony without the need for puny bullets. That's fine. Eventually, the crew ventured out to locate a rare and valuable alien artifact to add to their growing onboard collection, and, with the help of Fanny Rag and Nam Strawcab, navigating one of the Bryony's drones, the crew set out in the Hamburg Air to extricate anything that wasn't nailed down. After an uneventful mission, the crew got comfortable on their journey back to safety to flog their ill-gotten gains. And while Willie Fitzbottom slow danced in the Midi Bay and Brave Barry tended to his cannabaco plants, the calm was disturbed with the visitation of another Moloch. Amidst the panicked loading of the coil gun, an atomic blast ripped the underbelly of the Bryony away, taking with it the robotic legs of Hull Guts, as well as the robotic everything else of Harmonizing Harry. Fanny was smashed into a pulp, and hopefully the boffins down at the NLA CFEC HQ have enough spare wah pedals and vocoders lying around to patch up what's left of Brave Barry. A man named Stephen, Dr. Bumwinkle, and Mama Guts were sent by Control to take stock of the situation, only to be intercepted by the crew's first encounter with a Charybdis from the abyss. An epic struggle against the odds ensued, and the crew lost Nam Strawcab in the melee, but after a third rescue attempt by Control and about 40 minutes of intense gunfighting, the crew managed to destroy the beast. Maybe it's purely down to the raw emotion that everybody on the Bryony felt after the end of that marathon session, but I feel I have something to say, something important to say, and I'm going to be breaking with the reporting convention, which is something that I'm usually proud to do, and which has won me numerous plaudits in all of the greatest of right-wing leaning European tabloids. As many of you know, Chad Too Bad and myself first became friends while studying media broadcasting at the University of Polytechnic on Ganymede, and we go way, way back. He was my best man at my first 2 weddings, and head pallbearer for the 2 subsequent funerals that followed. I feel I owe the man a slight, not apology, but perhaps a manly handshake that I'd obviously dominate. You see, it was while Isabel and I were consummating our clandestine relationship in her weather reporter's booth in Sub Radio, after she had been rejected once again by Chad Too Bad, that I accidentally and semi-jokingly spilled champagne over Chad's radio console. I thought it best not to tell Chad about the event, but I was fully aware that the console was faulty after that. Anyway, me and Isabel cleaned up as best we could, mopping up the 2-way mirror and collecting the unused peanut slime lubricant. However, in our haste to get back to work, we of course left the console alone. Chad Too Bad, I am sorry. Not that I stole your girl, she was, after all, the only female on board, and so, in her own words, fair game. I'm not sorry that I was directly responsible for the explosion that turned you into the monster that you are now. But I am sorry that you won't be the best man at my next wedding. You see, Isabel has left me. I made it quite clear to her that her reporting career would be strictly restricted to weather women aboard the HMS Bryony, either until her contract or her life ends, whichever comes first, and she took exception to that. The truth is, there can be only one award-winning reporter on this sub, and that's me, Alan Clive, the legend, signing off again. Back to the studio. Interesting segment there by my colleague Alan Clive. Of course, it takes more than just a match-side reporter to make the news. There are, after all, 2 of us together that make up Sub Radio News. I just wanted to make that perfectly clear. Well, I'm afraid that's all we have time for now on Sub Radio, thanks to Alan's somewhat self-indulgent piece that ran over time. We'll bring you more on the news now that the crew is back to full capacity, but in the meantime, stay safe, and please refrain from drinking any more salty tang. That stuff is really not good for you. Bye for now.